If you watch closely, you'll notice I changed the proportions at least 3 times during this drawing. I wanted to share an example of a medium pose from life. In this case, 40 minutes, where I made a lot of changes to the initial sketch in the process. This is pretty normal for me, but it's not always as obvious as it is here. By the way, I have reference photos of this model, Ariel, available on my Patreon. If you're interested in checking them out, check it out at patreon.com/School of Realist Art. For this drawing, I used Kona Classic toned gray paper, which has been my go-to for a while now, but they've been discontinued. I'm looking for a new paper, and I'll share what I decide upon as soon as I figure out the one that I really like. I'm also using General's charcoal pencils in hard and white. Occasionally I use medium, but most of my drawing lately has been done just with the hard and white. And I have my trusty AFMAT long point pencil sharpener. Check out the link in the description below to learn more about the pencil sharpener. It really makes a difference for me. Since this pose is 40 minutes long, I'm not starting with a complete block in to get the proportion, but I am keeping things sketchy and trying to create a plan. If you want to know the full block in process that I'm talking about, I will leave a link in the description to a YouTube video that discusses that. I really ended up focusing on the face with this one because I was just really inspired by the way that she looked like she was resting, and this kind of elegant flow that her hair took as it kind of piled behind the pillow, and this line just went really nicely from her hair and down her neck, and I found it to be really elegant. So it's quite unlike me to start with the face, but I started there because I was just really inspired by that section more than anything else. So once I got to the body and I was just kind of shading everything in, I noticed that the body was kind of long in comparison to the head. And this is just what happens when you're focusing on one area and not the whole thing. So I started to make some corrections. You can see that pretty quickly I move the back of the hips up and I move the front of that thigh up as well. I went back to the head for a little while to see how I felt about it, and then I went on about my way, continuing shading. Lately, I've really been into this setting where the light is coming from the opposite side of the model, and I get this kind of like edge lighting. I find it really beautiful. I have a tutorial on my Patreon as well, if you want to see more about how to handle those lighting situations. I would like to point out that when I make the changes in the proportions of my drawing, I first draw the new lines and then I erase the old lines. I feel like I have to do a bunch of extra work when I erase first and then redraw. Having the wrong mark there allows me to have something to gauge against and to know how far I need to move things in order for it to be right. So if I erase first, it's kind of like I'm starting over. Sometimes I don't even end up needing to erase the old lines because I can just go over it with shading. You can notice in the back of this drawing, you can see some of the old marks where I used to have the chest and the stomach, and you can see some of the old marks in there for the top of the thigh as well. But this all adds to the story of the drawing. Try not to be too self-conscious about these extra lines from where you changed your mind. In a lot of ways, I think that we need to just normalize changing our mind really in our whole life, but definitely at least in our drawings. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Leave any questions that you have for me in the comments below. Thanks again, and see you again soon.